Welcome to this edition of On the Road with the Legal Talk Network from the Clio Cloud Conference. I'm Joe Patrice.
And I'm Melanie Heller.
And we're on the road. Welcome back. This is day 2 of the Clio Cloud Conference here in the Blue Aqua Hotel in Chicago. We had a epic night last night, and there is Advil everywhere at the show. Yes, the show actually is handing out Advil to people because they think that people might need it this morning. And we just had a early morning address that we all came down for from Melanie Heller, who's our guest here today. She's the general manager of Bloomberg Law now. Is that the technical term? Yeah,
Vice President general manager. Yeah, and general manager. That's right.
Yeah, no. So Bloomberg Law, and she was talking to us today about a variety of subjects. So hey, how are you doing today?
I'm great today.
Are you like I think most of us here today are emotionally on edge at the news that Brad and Angelina are getting divorced. So did I just break that to you?
No, I heard about this.
Yeah.
My team at Bloomberg Law is very, very up on pop culture.
Yeah.
So I probably knew that before almost anybody. And we are
maybe even before Brad.
Beside ourselves. If Brangelina can't make it.
Yeah, then what hope is there for all of us? So while we're dealing with that, we listened to your speech, and so what were you talking about there today?
So I had a couple things to say. Bloomberg Law is not often associated with small law and solo segments, so it was a real pleasure to be able to come here and talk to this audience, tell them what we do for them, tell them what technology does, and what potential there is for small law and solos to really step up in this legal environment.
Yeah. Well, in a way, the word Bloomberg makes it sound like there's no way this could be true, but in a way, Bloomberg Law is a small startup of its own, right?
So a lot of people have teased me because I mentioned that in my talk, and I saw a number of people on Twitter take issue with it. And here's the thing. As I said in the keynote, I am not denying that Mike Bloomberg is a tremendous financial backer, and I am not denying that we are extremely lucky to have him. Nonetheless, we only started building our technology a couple years ago. We are competing with players in the field who have been around for tens and tens of years. So that aspect makes us like a startup. We've had to be really nimble, we've had to be really thoughtful, we've had to employ smart technologies, and we've had to employ branding. Those elements of what we do are a lot like what small law firms and solos have to do to take on the big players in their environments.
Yeah. You mentioned branding. That was an interesting aspect. I was at your speech earlier today. An interesting dichotomy you talked about was the difference between kind of branding and marketing. Do you want to, for the folks who weren't able to make it, can you go into that a little bit?
Sure. So marketing, in short, the way I think about it is that marketing is the tactical side and branding is the more strategic side. Look, we all need to do marketing. We all need to have collateral. We need to have websites and advertising. But those things aren't really what differentiates one business from another. What differentiates you is who you are, how you do things differently. Because there's a lot of players in the legal technology space and a lot of lawyers in every segment who compete with one another. And in order to stand out, in addition to having marketing, I think you really need to create your own brand.
Yeah. Another thing that you talked about that I thought was interesting, we talk at my day job at Above the Law, we talk a lot about these reports of the downside of the legal market, demand going down, things getting harder. But one thing you said was that actually in some ways it's never been a better time to be the small player in law as opposed to the big one.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I was reading all of these studies, and if you read them from the perspective of a large law firm, they're actually a little bit scary and they're daunting. And the same studies every year are seeing the same thing. So year on year, we're seeing no real movement. But when you think about it from the perspective of a small law firm, the biggest challenges facing the legal industry right now are actually not applicable to small law firms or can be circumvented by small law firms. I'll give you an example. One of the things that really challenges large law firms is their ability to quickly implement technology. or to make large-scale changes to their law firms. There's a lot of reasons for that. Lawyers are adverse to change. Law firms are very bureaucratic. There's a lot of layers that you have to go through to get things done or to bring in a new technology. Small law firms operate in the exact opposite way. There are no layers of management. They have the ability to be extremely nimble and adapt to the changing environment. It's a tremendous opportunity.
Even though it is one of the things that is harder for the small law firm is, and people talk about this all the time, but they're wearing two hats all the time because they're not just a lawyer, they're also a business person. They're doing what, like half their time on being a lawyer?
Just about that,
Yeah.
and maybe small law firms a little bit more. But yes, the business, running their business is a large portion of what they do, leaving less time for the actual practice and more importantly for the prospecting of new business. That's why a lot of the technologies here at this conference are so exciting. The ones that can help streamline your business. So, you find that you're spending too much time working on actual billing. There's technology that can replicate that for you. You're actually the one answering your own phones. Get a virtual receptionist.
There's so much talk at these legal conferences, and it deservedly so, but of these technologies that make lawyering easier. But in a lot of ways, for these folks, it's way easier to just make the non-lawyering parts less their job. That actually is a better advantage sometimes.
I agree. I think that they need to look at both.
Of course.
Right? So streamlining their business operations and then looking to fix the other problem. And this is part of what I was talking about before, is the other side of it is finding technologies that help them with their top line revenue, help them prospect for new clients, help them find new clients, and then keep those clients.
And finding and keeping clients is kind of like the new buzzwords in some ways, because there's not, when people are trying to figure out how to maximize their money, especially at the small law level, it's not about billing this or that as much as they're living client to client, and getting new people through the door is more important to them than anything else.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And every decision has tremendous significance, right? So someone that I work with put it really nicely, that bringing in a new technology isn't about adding a little bit to the budget. It can mean not taking a vacation.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think we sometimes, those of us who are big law refugees or whatever, don't really think about, is the way in which these are huge decisions for people that have huge impacts. Yeah. So what was I going to say? Now I've lost my train of thought. See, this is what happens on this show. It usually happens whenever they decide to start taking pictures of us. I always pause to look better for the picture, and then just all chaos breaks loose.
Maybe we should go to the food truck.
We should. The food truck left, but it was amazing. I got there very late because I came a little late to the keynote, so I got in 2 minutes into the keynote, and I had to wait until after. And when I got to the food truck, they were like, "You're the last one." And I was like, "Yes."
Well, luckily they started serving cookies at 10 a.m.
That's true.
I like this conference.
Isn't it amazing? Have you ever been to this one before?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, me neither. This is my first one, too. It's great.
And for those of you who aren't here, there's a whole hangover.
Yeah, the Advils. A station.
Hangover remedy station for those who were out too late last night, and I understand there were a lot of those.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it was. This is a great conference. I'm looking forward to doing this next year. So let's go back to Bloomberg Law for a second. So, what's on the horizon for Bloomberg Law? What are you all working on over there?
So what we're really investing in right now, and I hesitate to use the buzzword, are analytics. Mm-hmm. So at Bloomberg Law, we are able to work with a lot of the data that comes off the Bloomberg terminal. We also have our own data sets, for example, dockets and case law, obviously, that we can actually start looking for patterns in. So some of the things I talked about in the keynote, are, in the context of us operating more like a small player, I was explaining that we've had to find technological solutions for things that other people have done for many years. Instead of going back and hiring thousands of editors to recreate what some of our competitors have done, we've decided to use technology. So one piece of technology that's already out is called Smart Code, which is our response to head notes. And we have that now by the end of the year covering all states.
Wow.
And the next thing that's coming out, and this is a bit of a preview, is, that is our response to annotated code. What we're building in response to head nodes is something that looks through cases to identify what the legal principles are and then relates them to one another.
Oh, wow.
So a sort of programmatic head note, if you will.
Interesting. So you're working on robots who can read cases. Amazing. We're all doomed.
I know everyone likes to talk about AI as something that's really scary and bad, but the truth is that what we're building, the kind of machine learning tools that we're building, really just create efficiencies. They don't actually recreate whole people.
Right. Yeah. Well, they might recreate a first-year associate, but that's not a whole person anyway. I mean, come on now.
I can't
Let's
comment
be
on
fair.
that. I was a first-year associate at some point. Yeah.
Anything else that you're working on over there?
Actually, yes. There's two things I want to mention, two things that are coming out this year. So one of them is coming out in the next couple of weeks, which is our judicial analytics tool. It's really exciting. We've previewed it to a number of our clients, and we've gotten a lot of gasps and wows. What we heard when we built our law firm representation analytics tool, which is a tool right now on the platform that can tell you who represents whom in different litigation. What we heard is that it would be helpful to also have integration of judges and how judges rule on different cases, how long certain cases take, and what dispositions are. So that's what we have coming out, the first iteration of it in a couple weeks. We're going to continue building on it and add more features over the coming year. And then the other tool we have coming, which is actually ties well to what I was talking about here today, is a completely new business development tool. So what we heard from our clients is that business development tools need to be customizable. And so what we've built is a business development platform, dashboard is a better word, that allows people to build their own tiles of information and move them around and then share them with people.
Wow.
So the page will include all of the Bloomberg tools that they're interested in, only those tools, and completely customized to their clients so they can build multiple client portals, multiple industry portals, and then share it with their team.
Wow.
So we're pretty excited about those.
And those are coming in the next few weeks, you were saying?
Judicial analytics is coming in October, and our new business development tools are coming in November.
Wow. Busy times over there.
It is.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Hey, if you're listening to this and you haven't already subscribed to every episode of On the Road with the Legal Talk Network, then I don't know what you're doing, but you should do that. You should also download the Legal Talk Network app. You can listen to all the shows of the Legal Talk Network, including, and most importantly, Thinking Like a Lawyer. I mean, the other shows are good too, but most importantly, Thinking Like a Lawyer. And you can also read anything that I write on Above the Law, and I think that's everything I'm supposed to say. Sometime down the road, we'll talk to you in another episode of On the Road with the Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.